Welcome on Texas football time for the Bingham's Bourbon Breakdown. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by former Texas Longhorn Rod Babers and CJ Vogel, our beat writer for the Longhorns there in Austin. Guys, big game coming up for the Longhorns. Texas has to go to the Cotton Bowl and win this game if they have any postseason aspirations of note at this point. I mean, obviously 3-2 with the loss to Florida. Not exactly what most people thought would happen this season. They are now do or die as it relates to the college football playoff. And frankly, they may be do or die as far as this season is concerned, because if they don't win this one, the road doesn't get much easier down the line with teams like A&M coming to town. You also got to go on the road to Georgia. Vanderbilt's playing a good brand of ball right now. It's a tough road ahead. But let's talk about this one, and let's start with the offense, the Texas offense. CJ, I'm going to let you lead. What are your thoughts on this your breakdown, obviously, of the Texas offense versus the Oklahoma defense?
Yeah, well, I think the big picture, obviously, is can Texas protect? You know, can Arch Manning have some sort of pocket consistently? Can there be a running game that allows for Arch Manning to take a play off and not have to wear the cape every single snap? Because that wasn't the case in Gainesville, right? Texas has to create a running game, and that's going to be tough. Oklahoma has a tremendous front seven, but in that pass game, you have to find a way to protect the quarterback. Oklahoma comes in with the most pressures of any team in the SEC. They sack the quarterback up there with the best in the country. You have to stay out of third and longs, and that's something that Texas had to do just about every third down that they faced in the Swamp. You had 11 third downs. 9 of them were in 3rd and 9 or longer. Your average distance to go on third downs was 11.8. I mean, that's a failing recipe regardless of who you're playing. Oh, and the worst part about this, looking at this matchup ahead, Oklahoma's the number 1 third down defense in the entire country, just over 17% of their conversions allowed. So you have to find a way, whether it's pass protection, the quick game, the running game, some extension of getting the ball into space has to be prevalent for the Longhorns in this game. Otherwise, it's going to be a day in which you're going to see Arch Manning hit a lot, and that's unfortunate.
Rob, what do you think about the Texas O versus this Oklahoma D?
Yeah, CJ's right. I mean, you got to stay out of third and long. You got to find a way to do it. You're averaging on the season versus Power 4 opponents basically 3rd and 8. Which is not a good place to be for your young quarterback. So you got to make situations easier for Arch. He's holding on to the ball, average of 3.2 seconds per pass attempt. You know, even though that's him extending plays and looking vertically downfield to cash in on some of those deep routes, it's also something that I think is allowing the pass rush to get there. So you got to make these easier. Get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker. Heard CJ talking about that earlier on in the week too. You get the screen game working. And I think also you can attack if you can get some time. There are places you can attack in that Oklahoma secondary. Devon Jordan, I mean, he's a guy I think you can make some plays on. He's given up almost 12 yards per target this season. They got a freshman back there in Guillory, good player, but 25% missed tackle rate, has 4 penalties already on the season last 2 weeks. He's allowed 6 of 7 targets to be completed, averaging almost 10 yards per target allowed. They've got some guys back there. Peyton Bowen is another guy. I mean, he's dependable, but he's a guy you can attack. He's allowed 8 of 11 targets to be completed for almost 100 yards. There are vulnerabilities in that secondary, but you're going to have to get past one of the best pass rushers in all of college football to take advantage of them, and that's on Steve Sarkisian to do it creatively and schematically. How does he buy time so his quarterback can cash in on some of those shots downfield?
We have a very special guest coming up here soon, Ryan Bingham of Bingham's Bourbon, and the Oscar winner, Grammy winner, is going to join us here for a little bit. But before we do that, Rod, I want to go now on the other side of the ball, and that's the defense. The Texas defense, how they shape up against an OU offense. Now, going into the Florida game, we thought Texas had a really good defense. Do we still think Texas has a good defense, or are we less certain about that now? And is this all predicated on whether John Mateer is the quarterback for OU or Michael Hawkins?
Yep, you just hit the nail on the head there, Bobby. I think that is the main factor in this matchup. You're going to have 2 game plans. Everybody's got 2 game plans. Oklahoma will have 2 because apparently, you know, it could be a game time decision for John Mateer. So they'll have a Mateer game plan and a Michael Hawkins game plan. Defensively, PK needs to have both. But if Michael Hawkins starts this game, it's I think a significant advantage for the Texas defense. He is challenged in the passing game, right? Traditional passing game. From the pocket, he's a liability pretty much. He's a coin flip, whether that's going to be a successful play in the passing game. Now, he is an accomplished runner. He is very athletic, averaging, I think, 22 miles per hour he reached on the play, so he can go, but the Texas defense can defend a one-dimensional attack, in my opinion, and that's what Michael Hawkins is. But Joe Mateer plays totally different dynamic. He can also present challenges in the passing game. So I think for the Texas defense, have 2 game plans ready, but your rush defense has got to travel for you. You got to make sure whoever that quarterback is, you make them one-dimensional by taking away already one of the worst rush offenses in college football. Oklahoma is outside the top 100 as a rushing offense, so they shouldn't be able to run the football, whether it's Joe Mateer or Michael Hawkins. But I said that about Florida. They were also outside the top 100, and they ran the ball on you.
Yeah, that's a problem. CJ, your thoughts on how Texas's defense stacks up against the Sooners?
I was going to mention that exact same thing Rod just did. Florida wasn't a good running team coming into that game, and yet they had success, and they had plenty of success early in that game until Texas found some sort of resolution in the second half, but it was too little too late, right? That can't be the case against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a bottom 3 rushing team in the SEC. You know, they just quite frankly are. They don't have a single running back averaging over 5.0 yards per carry, only 80 yards on the ground from their running backs. Now, to your point, Rod, John Mateer, Michael Hawkins, they can make, they can damage you with the quarterback run. If Mateer plays, my big thing is you're going to be asked in coverage to stick to your man much longer than you've seen in any game this year. The scrambling ability to create vertically down the field, you saw it against Michigan, you saw it against Auburn. His legs look to create with the arm rather than beat you with his legs running the football. And what I mean by that is, Rod, you can talk about this all day. If you're in coverage for 2.5, 3 seconds, you can live with that. But the minute that starts extending to 4.5, 5 seconds against, speedy wide receivers, which Oklahoma has, that's an issue. And that's something that I worry right now, considering where Texas was beat at times against Florida.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game, and I think it does depend on whether or not John Mateer plays. I will say this from talking to Barry Trammell, the Tulsa World beat writer, earlier today. I get the distinct feeling that if John Mateer can go, he's going to go against the Longhorns. The rest of the season be damned, because it's just that feeling right now I'm getting out of the guys up in Norman. All right, before we go to Ryan Bingham, I want to remind you we're going to have our predictions for this game in just a second. But first, let's bring in our friend Ryan Bingham. It's none other than Ryan Bingham himself, the Oscar and Grammy winner, has a new tour coming up. We're going to talk to him a little bit about that, as well as some Longhorn football. Also joined by Rod Babers, former Texas Longhorn, as well as CJ Vogel, our beat writer on the scene there in Austin. Guys, big game coming up, Texas OU. Ryan, we got to ask you, I mean, what are your recollections of the Texas OU game? Something you always think about when you think of Texas OU?
Oh, man, I know not to ever book a show on the same date as a Texas OU football game. That's happened to me not once, but a couple of years on a row. This always happens. We usually tour a lot, in the fall, every year. And I've been on the road for 20 years, so it's inevitable that you're going to get scheduled on the same day. But I mean, last year we were I had a show in Fort Worth, Dallas area, with the game just up the road. And I don't know how many friends and fans and family they were just like, how could you book a show on the same day as OU Texas? They're like, we love you, but we're not coming to see you. We're going to the game.
Love that. Hey, Ryan, I don't know how much of the game you got a chance to watch, the last game versus Florida with Texas, but Texas, it was an embarrassing performance that kind of laid an egg there. It was a total dud of a performance. You are, an Oscar Grammy award-winning artist. We've talked about this. Texas has a standard of football that's known for being pretty high. But have you had a bad show? It's kind of one of the, and when you have one, if you had one, because I don't know. I mean, you obviously are a great performer. What do you do to bounce back? What do you do to make sure now, hell no, tonight or this next night, we all gonna be on our, on our P's and Q's, and we're gonna have a hell of a show? Like, have you had that situation before?
Oh, I've had just as many bad ones as I've had good ones. I can tell you, maybe even more, and it's like, I think that's the only way you get better. If they were all good, you'd just be probably jaded and whatever. It's I think that's like any champion, you got to get your teeth knocked out or knocked down and give you the opportunity to get up and figure out what you need to do better and do different. So I've had some rough ones from playing in the gauntlet of roadhouse bars, and you can imagine how much shit I've had thrown at me. I mean, we used to play the bars that had the chicken wire up there for a reason,
Hey, Ryan, you saw the Texas game. You told us, where were you, and what did you think of that Texas-Florida game?
I was on a flight, and I was actually the gentleman that was sitting next to me had his laptop up, and he was watching the game live, and I kind of peeked over, and I saw he had the game on, and I was like, I asked him, I was like, hey man, you mind if I check in? And he's like, so he was giving me some updates while we're going, and I was like, I'm gonna get me another drink and wait till that game's over. I was like, quit giving me updates on this. He was from Florida too, so he was damn sure letting me know. He was looking over, like, hey man, we are whipping your, I'm like, that's okay, I got it. Thanks. Don't rub it in.
Hey Ryan, you just said you played in some joints back in the day, a little juke joints, chicken wire up and all that kind of stuff. And you recently played in the big house. You told us. We
did. A long way from the chicken wire. Yeah.
That's extraordinary, man. Tell me about, because I always felt athletes and performers, like you said, we always, I always say that, the singers and the artists, musicians, they want to be athletes, and the athletes, they want to be singers and musicians all the time. I think it's something about performing in front of, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of people. Not everybody in the world can, experience that. You've done it. What was that like? Is that the biggest crowd you've ever performed in front of?
Definitely the biggest crowd I've ever played in, and I've been to some football games and things like that where those crowds are massive. I can't imagine, you guys as athletes, having to perform under that kind of stress, or just the pressure of all that, and I felt it, I played a lot of shows and a lot of bars, and I always still, I still get butterflies a little bit. You get those nerves, and but this one too, because as well, I wasn't the headlining band. We were the opening band, so I knew that those 100,000 people out there, they weren't all there to see us. So I was like, this is the day that we really gotta have. We gotta get it together, boys. We don't want to get booed out of Michigan Stadium, but it was great. And the crowd was great. And I was talking to somebody about it the other day. I feel like a few years from now, if somebody comes up to me and just says, hey, I was at that show at the big house, and I'll be like, yeah, man, I was there too. Like I got to experience it. I think just like anybody else that was in that stadium, it was just such a unique moment in time, I think, to play a ticketed show and be the biggest ticketed show in North America. And Zach Bryan was awesome. Him and his band were great. And to be up there, he got up there and played like 3 hours, I think, that night, and there was not one song that no one was singing along to. It was absolutely just mind blowing and a cool thing to experience.
Real quick, speaking of headlining, you're headlining your own tour coming up. Actually, next week you start the tour with the Texas Gentlemen, correct?
We do, yeah. We're heading to Nashville this weekend to practice. We're going to practice. We're going to rehearse for a couple of days because we probably need it. And then we start off in Atlanta, Georgia at the Tabernacle, and then we're going to make our way east through the states, and we end up in Texas. I think our last show might be in Austin at the Moody Theater. So we're
November 7th. You're in Austin.
Yeah, we'll be in good shape by then too. Hopefully, we have some wins under our belt by the time we get to Austin.
That's the truth. Now, I was gonna ask you whether or not when you were on that airplane, did you ask him for some Bingham's bourbon to salt the wounds? I mean, and now we got Texas. So you need that to quell your nerves a little bit, right?
I needed a barrel of it that day, but a little liquid courage doesn't hurt.
Exactly right. Hey, Ryan, thank you so much. Good luck on your tour. We appreciate your sponsorship of On Texas Football as well. We'll tell folks about Bingham's Bourbon, but you have one more thing, Rod?
Can I get one more in? Because my wife, she would be upset with me if I didn't ask. I told my wife I was interviewing you, and she was like, "Oh, when you ask me this, I got to ask you this. Is there a song that's a sentimental favorite for you or something close to your heart as an artist that you think is your best work or favorite work, whatever, experience making it, whatever it was?"
Yeah, there's a song I got called "The South Side of Heaven," and it was one of the first songs I ever wrote. And through all the years I've been playing, these songs every night. There's definitely some songs I get tired of playing, but that's one that I just don't ever really get tired of playing. It always means the same thing to me, and it's always just it reminds me of a special moment in my life. So that's definitely one.
All right, that's it for me. I'm sorry.
That's all
good.
Ryan, best of luck on your tour, man. We'll be keeping people up to date about where you're going to be and when you're going to be, including in Moody Coliseum in Austin coming up in November. But thank you, obviously, for helping sponsor On Texas Football. And hopefully this weekend, Ryan, we'll get a Longhorn victory. Hook aboard, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, brother.
All right, this episode is brought to you by Bingham's Bourbon, created by Grammy and Oscar-winning artist Ryan Bingham. For years, Ryan turned down offers to just put his name on a bottle. Instead, he wanted a bourbon he could be proud of, one that stayed true to his Texas roots and where the music comes from. That's why he built Bingham's from the ground up, a Texas-certified whiskey made with 100% Texas-grown grains, distilled and aged in the searing Texas climate for a bold, unmistakable flavor. From the hands of local Texas farmers to the barrel to the glass, every drop is a tribute to the land, the craft, and the people who shape it. Bingham's Bourbon, proof that Texas makes a damn good bourbon. Available now across Texas. Find details at binghamspirits.com. That's binghamspirits.com. We appreciate Ryan coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little bit. Hey, CJ and Rod, prediction time. Rod, I want to start with you because you've played in this game. You know what it feels like. You know that records don't matter. It's about who wants it most, typically in this game, about who executes in crunch time. What are your feelings going into this game right now?
Yeah, who's the most physical team oftentimes wins this game, and that's unfortunate right now considering Texas coming off a game where they just got manhandled by Florida on the road. Mateer playing is a big deal. I know it's hard to buy into the propaganda, but that line keeps moving, and there's more and more rumors and conjecture out there that he's going to play. I was talking to Fozzie Whitaker about this, and Fozzie Whitaker said he did the Oklahoma-Kent State game, and he said that dude dressed out and ran out on the field. That he didn't take any snaps or anything, but he just that's what kind of dude you're dealing with here. Like, he just wanted to be in a uniform and run on the field with his team. I was like, that's a different kind of cat, because if I'm not playing, I'm not dressing. I'm gonna be in my sweats and looking good and feeling good. If he plays, Texas loses. If he doesn't, Texas wins, and they win a low scoring game, 20 to 13, something like that. Maybe.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
CJ Vogel, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, Rod, you're reading my mind right now. If John Mateer plays, Texas does not win this football game. If Michael Hawkins wins this game, well, the margin for Texas to win is still significantly smaller than what we were expecting. And you mentioned the physicality and the want to. Texas has to bring that. Texas also has to show up in special teams. That's a big factor of this game as well. And Texas special teams just quite frankly hasn't been very good in 2025. I think Oklahoma wins this football game. I think that up front, your guards get beaten once again. I think that interior is heavily tested, and I mean, good luck. Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, Grayson Halton, they've got dudes up there, and I just don't trust that there's a philosophy. The philosophy of the Texas game plan is going to change from what we saw a week ago. It's going to be a lot of holding on the rock and trying to pray to hit the home run every single snap. Hopefully I'm wrong there, but right now I have Oklahoma winning this game 24-13. I don't think Texas has a good day offensively.
13 points is not a lot. I will agree with CJ and Rod. If John Mateer plays, I would be reticent to pick the Longhorns. But somehow, some way, I just got to – Texas OU just makes me feel different. every year. Sometimes I have a good grip on this. Sometimes I don't. Something tells me that Texas is going to be playing for its livelihood a little bit this weekend. I've got Texas winning this game 20-17 to CJ and Rod's point. I do think Texas is going to be challenged from a points perspective. I look for a defensive score of some sort or getting set up in really plus territory for the Longhorns in this one because OU has not caused a lot of turnovers this year. Texas has. Let's see if that is a big piece of it because whoever wins the turnover battle in this game often wins the game as well. It is a big game. Everybody knows it. I feel it. Everybody that goes to it feels it. I'm gonna go with the Longhorns 20-17, like I said. Any further comments or notes before we let folks get out of here, Rada or CJ?
Just going back to third downs, Texas has to stay ahead of the chains. We mentioned Oklahoma is fantastic. Number 1 in the country. Texas on third downs, better 3rd and 9 or longer. How about 2 of 26 this year? Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. They've been miserable.
To your point, though, Bobby, to add to one point that you had to piggyback on it, they are 116th and 114th in turnover margin per game in turnover margin. That's just not that ain't championship level stuff. It's mostly because their defense doesn't force a lot of turnovers, to Bobby's point. So that is somewhere where Texas can win. I agree with you on that, Bobby. Good point. That's where they can win.
All right. That's going to do it. Thanks again to Ryan Bingham and Bingham's Bourbon for their sponsorship of On Texas Football and the breakdown. For CJ Vogel, Rod Babers, and our producer, Matt Hutchison, I'm Bobby Burton. You guys have a good week. We've got tonight. CJ is with Jeff Howe and Amanda Atwell. Talk a little Longhorn football on the live stream. You guys have a good one. Welcome.